Konnichiwa, Kawaii Critic here, once again here to review My Little Pony. This episode is called The Gift of the Maud Pie. Apparently this is based off of another story, Gift of the Magi, I think it's called. I haven't quite read the story, but I think I get the gist of it, where two lovers exchange gifts, or sacrifice a gift, and then the other sacrifice a gift, but they see that they love each other more, and the gifts, they weren't worth it, and so on and so forth. So, this episode is based off of that, and we see that Pinkie Pie and Rarity are once again going to Manhattan together. I believe this is the first episode where it's focused on these two together, and they see Maud Pie, and Pinkie Pie says that she needs help in getting a gift for Maud, and as soon as she blows off her potty cannon, uh, one of the stallions up above is like, "Why I oughta," and it goes on from there, and we see that Pinkie Pie doesn't really know the solution. So Rarity suggests that they go around Manhattan exploring, and while that's going on, they're gonna end up in this place where she can slip out and give a gift, so it can be a surprise. And most of the episode is just Pinkie Pie hyping up the present like these three times, like, "Oh, I'm gonna get you the best gift ever," and then it does that like two more times. And it feels like this episode is a bit more trying to fit under a comedic effect. You have your Rarity moment where she's like, "Oh, Maud, I'm gonna get you something," and then you see references to earlier stuff like the Twilight Cane and the plushy shark that they jumped over in episode 100, and other things such as that. Um, so they go. Pinkie Pie leaves, and Rarity's like, "So, Maud, why don't you tell me how you met this rock?" And then Maud begins her, what seems like it appears to be like something making fun of like a fan fiction. Like, she does like the typical intro to something like that. And we have other things of other callouts, like there's the store they end up in, and I'm not sure if I'm doing that in order, but they end up in this like gift shop place, and then these two, a stallion and a little colt, are playing the My Little Pony theme, and then Pinkie messes it up or whatever. Pretty good stuff there. It does feel like, again, it's a bit more focused on being a comedic episode. But finally, after visiting all these places and seeing that the pouch is behind this store that's closed, it did make me wonder, why didn't Rarity like just make something. That was the one thing I was kind of wondering about. That did seem something that would be under her skill set, so that was a bit weird. But Pinkie ends up finding this pouch pony, as it's called in the episode, but it's a hustler, pretty much. Essentially, it's a hustler pony. So Pinkie meets with this hustler pony, and he says that he'll give it he'll give the this pouch that he has to Pinkie if she gives the cannon. And I gotta say, this guy's gotta learn some hustling lessons from my senpai, John Cena Pony. So this guy, he knows how to hustle, but not really. He's a very beginner hustler. He doesn't know the first rule of hustling, which is you don't ask for something that you don't really need. I mean, what was that guy gonna do with a party cannon anyway? I mean, really? And I feel like he didn't do it with any honesty or loyalty behind him. So, Mr. Hustler Pony, he's gotta learn some lessons, alright? So that's a little advice from Kawaii Critic. Don't hustle where you can't hustle. Alright? There you go. So, Hustler Pony does what he does, and Pinkie Pie feels all depressed about it. And Rarity eventually spills the beans in front of Maud, and Maud's like, "Oh, I'm gonna get it back." So she goes and asks for it politely, but Rarity puts on a bit of a show where she's like, "Oh, she's so intimidating. She's just so, that blank stare, it's so surprisingly evil." And Mr. Hustler Pony eventually caves in and returns the gift. So Pinkie Pie has her gift of the party cannon back, and she notices that now she's gotten two gifts, and she celebrates with Maud, telling her, "Oh, you did it again, you beat me." And Maud gives a lesson of, it's not about the competition, it's about love. And Rarity's like, "Oh, you two are so cool." And then Pinkie's like, "Well, you can join us in the Puffdus. I think that's what it is. Um, yeah, so that's about the episode. I think this actually, I'm gonna leave a suggestion, but I don't know if it would work. I think this episode would have worked a bit better if it was actually Pinkie Pie and Applejack. I mean, so we had the family episode with Pinkie Pie and Applejack and Maud and the families meeting up, and for the most part, if I remember correctly, Applejack didn't actually spend a lot of time with Maud, so it could stand to reason that she would have a very similar reaction to Rarity in this episode, and that would eliminate the whole magical essence of the episode, or being able to make the pouch. I don't know if Applejack would be able to do that, so that would be interesting. I think it would be also potentially interesting family dynamic, as you know, the whole Pinkie Pie being related to Applejack thing. There's some potential there, I believe. This trio, I think some of the comedic moments could have worked just as well. But of course, that would also mean that they would have to have found another reason for Applejack to be in Manhattan. Maybe she could be visiting her extended family there. I don't know. There could have been something, but um, this episode, it does have more comedic moments, and the lesson is something we've seen before, so the comedic moments, they get a simple ha or like a chuckle out of me, but other than that, I wouldn't say this episode's too strong, surprisingly. But who knows? Maybe they'll make the next few episodes more focused. It definitely feels like there's some holes here. And as per usual, I'm not going to actually grade this episode by itself. I'm actually trying to avoid doing that this season until I see everything, and then I'll decide what it was like overall. But, I think this episode was a bit on the weaker end, but it was nice seeing these two interact regardless of how much more sense I think it would have made if it was Applejack, but it is what it is. Anyways, that's my review, and this has been Kawaii Critic, and remember guys, keep it kawaii.